I first met Shabir when we wanted to coach one of our CXOs in the organization that I was working in. I had a very interesting conversation with Shabir, and I realized that that's a great thing to be in. And I looked at when will I get to be like anywhere like Shabir? So Shabir is a lighthouse for me. And your presence, thank you very much, Shabir. And it's also making me feel nervous. Uh, so I wish you can show yourself on the camera at least once so that I can salute you for actually, lighting that first diya in my life of maybe looking at coaching as a possibility back in those days when we met when I was in ANZ. So that's so the topic today is applying coaching in our daily life. Yeah. So what I was thinking about this topic, and I was asking myself, am I really applying coaching? And then when I look at the current one of the competencies which is my inspiration, which is embodying coaching mindset. And I remember several months back attending a workshop conducted by our own Viji on embodiment. And then I asked if embodying is the way Viji took us through that experiential learning. Viji, that was a wonderful experience, and I wish you could repeat that, because it can refresh all of us who have been through it, and maybe some of us who missed it can benefit a lot. So embodying the coaching mindset is something that I am beginning to kind of learn as I move forward. And today I just realized that I clocked from the ICF journey, which is March 2020, I just crossed 1,800 hours as of today. So it's not with any specific intent. I know my friend Vinita is on the call, and thank you, Vinita, for showing up. And I've learned a lot from Vinita, from the coaching that I have been doing with her on a weekly basis, which we continue to do even now. She has that drive to be that MCC, and I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Vinita for being that conferred that MCC credential recently. Congratulations, Vinita. And so when I ask myself, am I applying coaching or am I being a coach in my daily life? And that took me to that entire rewind of my life. And if I can have the permission to share one photograph for a moment. Sriram, can I share a picture? You're on mute.
Johny, we'll just make you host.
You can go ahead. We have already made you a co-host.
Okay. Right,
you can go ahead.
So I just want to share this picture for a moment. This is a picture taken sometime towards the end of 1960. And I was born on the 1st of July, 1960. And, whenever I look at this picture, and I keep looking at this picture very, very often, my mother's conscious about, she's 82 plus, she's with me. I'm blessed to have her with me. She's conscious of the camera. But when I look at myself, I'm just being so curious. Something has got my attention, and I'm just being curious about something. And I think that is something which I realized when I started thinking of, after speaking with Sriram, what can I share about applying coaching in a daily life? I think my first coaching happened when I was 3 years old. And I'm going to share a story with you. This is in our ancestral property in a place called Niranam in Kerala, Central Travancore. And my great-grandfather's younger brother is a priest in the church. And he is a bachelor. He was a bachelor. And so when this old man comes to my grandfather's house, which has a dining table which can seat about 24 people at a time. This man will sit there and have his meal while there's this whole battalion of ladies. My mother's family, she has 9 siblings, or she had 9 siblings. All of them, plus the grandchildren. I'm the oldest grandchild. My grandfather, who used to manage 2,000 plus employees in his coffee and tea estates in Vaitri, he would also stand like this in front of this old man while he's having his breakfast. And I came playing, and I came straight, and I saw this, and I said, there's something amiss in this picture that I'm seeing in front of me. I went and pulled the chair next to this priest, and I said, can I sit here? Yeah, you can sit here. Can I eat with you? Yes. So he looked at the kitchen direction. Immediately, a lot of people brought some stuff and they filled my plate. Then I asked this priest, why can't people eat with you? If I look at it from the earlier 11 competencies, it was a powerful question. It was a direct question. Why can't others eat with you? He thought for a while and he gave a gentle smile and he said, they can eat. I said, then get everybody to eat. I called my grandfather. He came and sat, and then everybody came. Everybody sat around the table. Believe me, after that conversation, every time this priest visits my grandfather, he makes it a point to remember that conversation with me and said, that day he made me realize, creating awareness. And he said, let us all have this meal together. So I don't think I went through ICF core competencies at the age of 3. The point is, what may be some of the simple things that got me to ask the question? I think it was sheer curiosity. I wanted to know what is stopping people to do a certain thing, or and actually nothing was stopping them. It was just a practice, age-old practice, and that got even today it has been spoken about that conversation that Johny had at that age has changed a big practice in the ancestral home, right? Coming to my first job, I mean, Sriram, thank you for the kind words of introduction. My first job was a sales job, right? And I remember going in for a 4-day training program. I used to work for a young startup called NIIT, in Chennai. And we used to be sent to Delhi, Surajkund for 4-day residential training programs on selling skills. And we used to have these people coming from rank Xerox teaching us selling skills. Okay. And our company wanted to make us the best salespeople in the world and stuff like that. And guess what? They were teaching us stuff like selling is not telling. Selling is about asking questions. Therefore, let's learn the questioning technique to ask the clients about the needs of this. And 2020, when I signed up for an ICF course, lo and behold, I'm getting the same content from my coaching master. Coaching is not about telling, coaching is about asking questions, right? Maybe there is something common between selling and coaching. And just this afternoon, my wife and I went for a wedding reception, engagement reception. We met an elderly couple, and that uncle had a kidney transplant. So that auntie was always with him, wanting to make sure that he is not tripping and falling. So he went and we was talking to somebody, and she was finishing a dessert. And as she was going to keep the dessert plate, she tripped and she fell down. And I asked her, Auntie, are you all right? We lifted her up, and she said, no, fine. I'm the one who's always making sure that uncle does not fall. I said, what are you realizing now? And my wife said, no, this is not a coaching session. I said, I just asked her a simple question. What are you realizing? You are always making sure that your husband is taken care of. Said, yeah, even I can fall. And my husband can look after me. I just want to invite all of you to look at this conversations that we have on a daily basis. Do we need to say, okay, I'm going to do the contracting now, I'm going to do the opening, I'm going to do this? Just think for a moment. Curiosity. I do not know what I do not know. Is there a reason for you not to have anybody around you while you're having your meals? No, there isn't. You know, I remember when I was in Chennai, I had the opportunity to have a meal with a dear friend called M.V. Subaya in the boat club. We used to work, we were in the Sumedas ISIST. So in that connection, I had a chat with him, and he said, it's lunchtime, so he and I sat at the dining table, and Achi, his wife is called Achi at home. Achi is the only one. They may have hundreds of servants at home, but when the man of the house is having a meal, Achi is the one who will serve. So they had those wonderful Italian tinted glass top dining table with pure silver cutlery, crockery, and this water kept in a silver cup. Subaya just took a little bit of water and he sprinkled it around the plate. I said, Subaya, thanks for reminding me. I always wanted to know, what is this whole thing about? He said, that's a good question, Johny. Let me ask Archie what it is, because I don't remember. I've been doing it from my childhood. So Archie came and asked Archie, what is this thing? So in the olden days, our ancestors used to live in houses which have not this kind of marble flooring, but they had flooring with mud. And the finishing of the mud flooring is done with cow dung. And people used to sit on the floor and have food on banana leaf. And when you sit on the floor, these crawlies will come because it is, cow dung and mud. So to prevent any of those crawling onto the banana leaf, they kind of make a fortress of water around the leaf. And that is the scientific reason for sprinkling water. Let me ask you, how many of you still do this today? Sprinkling water around your plate. And Achi said it so beautifully. This is the reason, and today it's become a kind of a ritual. On an Italian tinted glass top dining table, around the silver plate, you are still. So the question that I'm leaving you guys with is this: what are we doing consciously in our need to know what we do not know, with that deep level of curiosity? And what are we doing because it is one of those 8 competencies? I'm a person who enjoy, and I'm good at responding to questions. So I don't have much to talk about in this application because I don't believe I'm applying coaching. The day I learned what embodiment is from Vijay, I think I'm trying to see if I've begun a journey of embodying coaching as a mindset. And then it doesn't matter whether you're having a conversation with a client or whether I'm having a conversation with Anuj in one of our Chai Pe Charcha or book club that we have in Bangalore, or any of those. It doesn't make a difference. You know, you won't believe, I don't have a difference between a paid client session and a conversation that, I'm going for a wedding reception this evening. And I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot from those conversations that I'm going to have, because I've become more conscious about having that mindset of coaching, or a coach's mindset, embodying with that. And I would leave that connection with Vijay to take us through sometime on coffee interconnect this concept because this is so strong, Vijay. I think embodying a mindset is why even coaching mindset, embodying the mindset of curiosity. How often are we really curious about something, and how often are we wanting to put our thoughts onto that person in that conversation? And that is what is the application of coaching, according to me, in a daily life from morning till evening. And with those opening statements, I would be happy to answer questions if they are on the chat, or if anybody wants to unmute and ask a question.
Johny, I can go.
Yeah,
So I'm going to play the devil's advocate here, right? So have there been times, and I respect that this is a safe space, so we can all talk with that safety. Have there been times in your life where, or even more recently, that somewhere being a coach came in the way, or being coach-like was not well received? And let me give you an example. Somebody recently, one of the coaches I was mentioned to me, saying that recently one of their interactions, right, a close sibling or someone, when they were catching up, said, hey, you know what, don't be coach-like, right? I mean, you're not coaching me here. And that coach, right, while they said it with a smile and we laughed about it and all of that, it had sort of shaken something inside, right? I don't know whether it was confidence, but so I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritties of that, right? But this left me thinking.
Yeah.
And when you say this, Johny, and I was quite wowed when you said, I don't treat a paid session any differently from any other conversation where, I embody my coaching competencies, which is super powerful. So have you had situations where it's kind of come in the way, or you've been left wondering, saying, maybe I should not be the coach here?
Yes, many times. And why go any far away? I have a daughter who's an ACC and who's just finished her PCC level 2 and finishing her hours. She's also an NLP certifier. So she's a practitioner trainer. Okay. And so when we have conversations, there are moments when she says, stop coaching me. Yeah. And I think those are moments when it is, I look at it as a reflective moment for me to say, am I being a coach or am I being a coach-like? Right. That's a big difference. When I'm embodying, so it's like, am I breathing or am I conscious of my breathing? Right. So when I become conscious of the fact that I'm going to be a coach-like, then I see a difference in my being, and that's very easily identifiable, not by a coach daughter, even by my own self. But the thing is, I learned this through your session. I don't know if you remember, you did a course sometime during the pandemic for CFI, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that made a lot of sense. How can I do it unconsciously? So when we do coaching, I do work with some of the peer coaches who are aspiring to be coaching and in some ways mentoring them. They want to follow those coaching competencies. I'm saying, forget it. Just be. So that's a very powerful question, Vijay. I think many times I have been told, see, don't be a coach. I'm asking you a question, give me an answer. Right. And I will ask, how is that answer going to help you? And in what way will that answer help? I am beginning to learn something that a student of a seminary, my first cousin is a priest. and he is taken after that great-grandfather's brother. He's the second priest in our mother's family. So he said that, in the seminary, when he studies for becoming a priest for 5 years, they have a session on how to answer a question with a question. So a lot of people in the church ask the priest a lot of questions. And the priest, and I started thinking about that and said, that's coaching, isn't it? So a minister in a church who's priest, who's giving some kind of he is actually, our forefathers have designed a course for 5 years in the seminary to for the students to learn to answer a question with another question without making the questioner feel uncomfortable. So yes, and that's a very, very important part of this. Even when I'm coaching clients, there are moments when they say, I don't want you to be a coach. I'm asking you a question now. Sure, I will not be a coach, but let me ask you this question. Yeah.
No, I think it's lovely, Johny, the way you, I think, explain that nuance, and that connects with my own experiences as well. And, it's, I think, also triggered off a lot of sharing. There's some beautiful comments coming in the chat box. And, Siddhi has shared something beautiful. And I think Vinita has said something. Sriram, really nice. And I invite everybody to just take a moment's pause and read what's coming in the chat box. And, if you have, a contra view, or you have further questions, please put it down or unmute yourself and ask Johny. And I think there's one question from Babu Raj. This makes me explore a simple question. Are we really adults? Okay, I don't want to make meaning from that. Babu Raj, you want to talk about that?
Like what I think, thanks to Johny, instead of a Kochi and coffee connect, it becomes a reflective connect. So thanks, Johny, for that. I was, while listening to your stories, very well articulated and very simple life stories, I was also reflecting my own experiences when I was looking at children, especially my own childhood, and when I look down. The curiosity which we have, like what you have talked about, the story of, as a 3-year-old child. But when we grow up, where do we, where all this curiosity, all these elements gets missed. And we are expected to behave and act like adults, means people, we call it ourselves as matured professionals, matured human beings. But our conduct, behavior, and the way in which we align with other human beings, forget about this one, and the nature around us is absolutely different. We talk something, think something, do something, and we even try to fight for things which we know that we are not doing it rightly. So are we really, in one of the workshop which I have done also, I asked this question. So people looked at me and said that, somebody said that, yeah, we are 18 plus, so we are adults. So I started asking questions, and at the end of it, they were very, very, very finding it extremely difficult for accepting that, they are not adults in principle. Because if they are really saying that they are adults, the action is not commensurate to what they are talking about. So thanks to you, I was just reflecting, and actually I was also reflecting along with the entire group of people, because like what you rightly said, the question is not only to you, but to all of us to reflect and ask that question so that it will be more meaningful to all of us.
Okay.
Johny, there's one direct question for you, and I want to do a +1 on that. Thank you, Shabir.
Yeah, I saw that question from Shabir.
Yeah,
Thanks, Shabir, for that question. Let me tell you my experience with sales for 10 years with NIIT. I never had the pressure of sales targets because I was learning how to ask questions. And recently I had a conversation with somebody. If a client wants something which, based on my conversation with the client, I know is only going to help my organization, but not the client, I will be upfront with the client saying, no, please don't buy this. And I'll tell you how this has helped me as a salesperson is that the client has always seen me as not a run-of-the-mill salesperson who's interested in pushing and peddling something to meet my targets, but to be keeping in focus what the business that they are running and how IT can help them. I mean, all my sales, direct sales was in the IT services. So I had a very interesting experience with one of my clients. In 1985-86, I closed a deal with this client for 55 lakhs. And in 85-86, that is a tidy sum worth for about 2.5 years of implementation. So the client chairman entrusted the whole project to his son, who had returned from US after his higher studies. And he said, you will be managing NIIT from our side. So this guy started managing it, and he was having a good time for 2.5 years. We sold a few licenses on PC Focus. We were resellers for PC Focus in those days. So all of that happened. Several years later, when I was doing a shopping on Mount Road, Bata, whenever we go visit Chennai, Mount Road, Bata used to be one of my visiting point. And when I visit Mount Road, Bata, I suddenly felt somebody patting on my back. And I looked, it was this guy. Hey, Shankar, what are you doing here? He said, hey, why would anybody come to Bata? I'm buying some shoes. And he's showing me 2 pairs of shoes and said, hey, Johnny, which one do you think I should buy? I said, Shankar, I was your father's IT consultant about 10, 12 years back. I'm not a, grooming consultant anymore. No. But you see, this is how I think. I'm so happy that you sold what you sold to my dad, that I'm today not running the cement and asbestos business for the group. I have started a company called Ramco Systems, and thanks to you. So Shabir, the question is, coaching style of selling has helped me to not only achieve targets, but also to have lifelong people who say, you did this in our interest. You were not selling something. They wanted to buy it from me. So one of the things that we were told in that 4-day residential program in Surajkund back in 1983 was that selling is not about pushing something. It's about getting your clients to buy it from you. Right. I don't know if I've answered your question, Shabir. So there's a lot of parallels with coaching and sales. And there is also, I'm also saying that there is a fine line between, manipulating and keeping the client's interest in mind. Because there has been many moments, I know, in my sales career, I could have easily got a sale and finished my target and got my incentives. But I knew that 5 years later, it may not be beneficial for the client. I thought it was my duty to share that with the client and say, do you still want to buy it?
Johnny, that's amazing. And I saw Shabir's comment on this. So Shabir, if you could be kind enough to tell us a little bit more about SPIN. I think you've used an acronym there. I for sure don't know what that is. That would be great. And before that, I want to also add on one thought, Johnny. I don't know whether this makes sense here. Even as coaches, right? I'm going to be very open here. There's a lot of selling we're doing,
yep,
right? As we run our coaching businesses. And I'd invite you to think about, based on what Johnny said, how do we do our selling? Are we solutioning? Sometimes we make it sound like coaching is the panacea for all problems in the world.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, all of us have done that at some point or the other. But does it really work? Is a more consultative approach better? Would we tell our clients, hey, go and check out 2 more coaches before you sign up with me, or think about maybe you need a counselor? Don't know, right? I know I'm kind of putting it all here, but this would be great. So thank you, Johny. That's one thing that got triggered in me, that we're also as coaches, unless of course we don't do coaching for a living. I think people who are running coaching practices are all selling.
I am not able to see Shabir's question. Shabir, would you like to unmute and share?
Shabir's made a point. Shabir, could you maybe...
SPIN. Okay.
Yeah, SPIN.
SPIN. Okay. That's an acronym. I don't know. I'm not very familiar with that acronym. It's a sales thing, sales acronym.
Johny, I think you've explained the concept and you've drawn the parallels very well with respect to what you mentioned. And like you said, NIS was the, had this solution selling approach which used to be there.
Yes.
SPIN stands for a 4-step process in solution selling, which is situation, problem, implication, and need payoff, and helping the client around that part. And like Johny rightly mentioned, that in that you're not trying to push your product or your solution, but helping the client to get more clarity on what their problem statement is. And then, help them understand what solution will help them address that problem.
Right.
And therefore, then whatever you're selling, that fits in well, so that then they want it. And, drawing the parallel from what Johny said, that in coaching as well, we are not trying to dish out a menu-based approach which is there, but helping our coaches to really figure out what would work best for them. I think that's a great parallel that you've drawn, Johny, and I think that's my one big takeaway from your talk today. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Shabir. I want to share an experience with my founder of NIIT, which reinforces what we are talking about. Do we have time to share that? Yeah. Sriram?
Yes, Johny, please go ahead. We have a lot of time.
So there was a time when, when I was prospecting, I had an inquiry from BHEL in those days, who wanted 6,000 employees to be trained on using computer. And remember, this is a time, I'm talking about period between 83 and 91. This is the time when India was just getting ready to start receiving computers and computerization. And BHEL wanted to train such a large number of people. And I did some quick math, and I went to my founder, Pawar, Rajendra Singh Pawar, and he said, Raji, I've got good news for you. So what is it? I've got good news in the sense that, this many people, I can close the deal. He said, no, we will not do it. I said, why? Because it'll take care of my 5-year target if we close that deal. He said, Johny, please understand, I have started NIIT not to become a subsidiary of BHEL. And if we take this order, believe me, I have to move everybody from Delhi, Bombay, Kolkata, Bangalore, and Chennai. All of them will have to move to Trichy. BHEL was in Trichy. And we will become a subsidiary of BHEL. I have started this company to be a company of its own, to bring in computerization and a literacy of computers to this whole nation. I was actually very disappointed with Pawar. But I saw the wisdom of what he's thinking. And actually, he is a mentor and a coach for me at that time. There was no concept of coaching back in 83, 84. But he said, just think for a while. You do this, all of us will be based in, including you and me, will be based in Trichy. And how are we going to spread computerization to the rest of this country? So he said at the most, we will get BHEL to select 300 people. And we will do training, and we will do TTT, train the trainer, and let them do the training within BHEL. I'm just giving you a small example of how he had that long-term vision to be much more present and grow exponentially, discontinuously, rather than just grabbing that opportunity. And so oftentimes I have asked this question to myself, even now as a practicing coach: am I being short term in trying to close some coaching conversation deals, or am I asking the right question to the CEO and saying, why is it that you want this? And how is it going to be important for you and your future? Thanks for those questions.
Lovely comments again coming in the chat box, Johny. And I think Raj also mentioned about one of our sessions in the conclave last year. I think it was Stefan's session. So maybe we'll post the link as well. So Raj, you want to talk a little bit about that? I know you're a little bit on the road, but if you want to, you can.
Okay, thanks, Vijay. I was just making the comment that Stefan distinguishes between intellectual and empathetic curiosity. And Johny, your description of the way that you were talking about embodying being coach-like and curious all the time is, for me, it seemed much more like an empathetic curiosity rather than intellectual, for the sake of knowledge. So just occurred to me. Thank you for sharing.
Right. And I, Vijay, to your earlier question, I know this is recorded, but that doesn't matter. I think this is something that I've learned, and I wanted to share this. Just about 3 days or 4 days back, my daughter came up with a very excited statement saying, I have found a new way of doing this and all of that. And I found myself saying, oh, Google can do this like this, and Google can do this like this in Google. And she got, and I fully agree with her. She got really, she said, Appa, you didn't listen to me. You didn't want to understand what I'm trying to say. You were so in the face, imposing, Google does it, Google does it. You didn't even, I said, tell me. No, now I don't want to tell you. So this also happens, and I'm calling myself a coach, and I'm learning how to embody it and apply it, and not just apply, be the coach all the time. I also realized that there are moments when I'm not being the coach. Right? And that's a big lesson. I think I want to thank my daughter for helping me realize that. Right? And it could have been just another conversation. But then she got me to realize that, no, you are not being a coach here. You didn't want to listen to what I'm saying. You had something in your mind and you kept saying, no, but Google can do this, Google. She was trying to say that, she was actually taking a bus, overnight bus from here to Bangalore to Cochin to spend 1 week at my parents' house just to take care of the house, and she's working from home. So she said, instead of, setting an alarm and getting down at alleyway to wake up at Angamali, I found a new way, but I didn't allow her to speak what she has in her mind. I said, no, if you tell Google that, wake me up 10 kilometers before the destination, no, but that's not what I'm saying. But then, I kept saying, and I realized that, I was trying to impose what's in my mind. And I'm thinking that, am I doing this with my clients as well? I don't know. She just created a lot of awareness in me in that conversation and that transaction. So beware.
Thanks, Johny. And on a side note, we'd love to meet her soon at probably the next CCC. Please place a special invitation for her to join us. Great. Are there more questions? Folks, we have time, a couple of minutes. So feel free to unmute if you have any questions for Johny, or, want to know something from his rich, I think, work and life experience, if I may. Or, even share a comment or anything that resonated with you, or anything you want to know more about. Please go ahead.
Hey,
Sri,
Johny,
your volume is quite low.
The silence. Yeah, the silence is just killing Vijay.
Yeah, hi.
Someone has to speak, shouldn't they?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, Shinam. Johny, brilliant share. And the last one, I totally sort of resonated with because something very similar happened with me just this week. And I think children can be such powerful teachers. And the biggest thing is that, for us to be open for them to be able to say, what your daughter shared with you. And in my case, my daughter shared with me. And it's not easy. Like sometimes, in this particular incident, she actually went to my wife and said, why is Papa doing this? And then when my wife came and spoke to me about it, and my response to my wife was very different. And I was taking a lot of inputs on my website and stuff from my daughters, and I was very accepting, right? Very, very open. Whereas the moment I heard it from my wife, my response was very different. So I think just being open to, in the way we are with our children and family members is such a big thing in itself. And we are all learning from our close family members, for anyone we trust and we can be vulnerable with all the time. Right.
Thanks, Anuj, for that sharing. I also heard Sriram say that silence is killing. I just want to understand what is little more about that.
Johny, I knew a coaching question was coming up there.
Johnny, safe space is what we mentioned right at the beginning. So, and Chennai chapter is not known for its silence. We are known for creating ruckus. So this silence is killing actually when people don't open their mouth and talk or say something, Johnny.
Noise, Sriram, we're noisy.
I said we create a ruckus positively.
No, but Sriram, what is happening is that Johnny's reflective story is making all the members to get into a pausing moment
and a reflective moment.
Our own life period, and it is natural. All of us do that at home sometimes. Most important is that at least as a coach, we have a opportunity to reflect and understand that there are mistakes which you are doing it. At least that much awareness we can shift our paradigm at least and improve upon. I always believe that we are all fallible human beings. None of us are perfect. It's an opportunity for us to learn and at least die as a better than yesterday human being. As far as that is concerned. So the silence sometimes is very, very meaningful.
Johnny, I know we're nearing the end of time, but some closing thoughts, Johnny. Maybe just put it all.
Closing thoughts is that, this application of coaching is not for the other person. Actually, it is for me. It benefits me when I apply and embody the coaching mindset. And as I'm saying this, I'm just reminded of one anecdotal incident that happened to me when I joined GRIT. That is Grindlay's International Training Facility in 1996 at Haddo's Road. And when I joined, I had a lot of colleagues who were in trade finance faculty, and I was in customer service and sales faculty. I was a faculty there. And I didn't know anything about banking. And I was told that, there is this sub-staff who comes into the office, who will go downstairs to the branch for the office work, and he will go to the 5-star supermarket just opposite our office to buy some stuff for the pantry. He said, but the union agreement prevents us from telling any personal work. You cannot ask him to buy cigarettes. You cannot ask him to go and encash a check in the branch because they are not supposed to do that. And I said, fine, I will not do it. But then I didn't have any knowledge about banking. And I only knew checkbook, passbook, and withdrawal slip and pay-in slip and all of that. So I used to go to this person. He used to manage this whole storage with all the course material. And this guy is called sub-staff. I do not know why they call him sub-staff. And I went and sat with him and said, can you teach me what's in this material, trade finance? What's in this material, corporate finance? What is wholesale banking? What is all that? Because he has been making this course material for years. I asked him, why are you not, if you know so much, why are you not writing the, BA, banking assistant job and become a banking? He said, then, sir, I'll get transferred. I don't want any transfer. I want to be here only. Right. Now, this guy, after that conversation, he would come to the office space and he will come to my cubicle and say, Johnny, sir, I'm going to 5-star. Do you want me to buy something? I'm going to the branch. And the other said, when we tell him, he will quote clause number so-and-so in the union saying, I'm not supposed to do this work, but how come he's coming to you? And there is something in that chemistry when you have that conversation with a person, the chemistry kind of works, and then you don't know what happens. The magic happens when you do that. So I just wanted to leave that thought saying that, you're not coaching another person. The coaching process, being a coach and applying coaching, or if you being a coach in your life, has a lot of enrichment and fulfillment for myself. And I just wanted to share that with you as a closing point. Thank you.
Wow. Johnny, great. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful and enlightening 40 minutes. Thank you so much for being there with us, and also to being comfortable enough to share your life stories so that we could learn from it. And I'm sure most of us, during the silence that was kept, were actually reflecting on some of the stories, at least, which might have happened in our lives. At least I can remember one or two which syncs with what you said and has happened with me, though I did not connect coaching with those incidents at that point in time. So any final thoughts, anyone, before we wind up and wrap it for the day? It's been a wonderful session. So thank you so much,
Sri,
Johnny.
I have a question. We talked about curiosity and emotive curiosity and things like that. I'm curious to know what was the solution that Johnny's daughter finally find to wake up and get up at the right place.
I'm waiting for her to cool down and ask her, because that day she said, no, I'm not going to tell you. And that's a big lesson for me. Huh? That's a big rap on my knuckle.
Johnny,
yeah?
You could forward the question as part of the forum's question, John. She might be able to answer us.
Yeah. And I think, when you reflect, a lot of these initiatives that come from young graduates in our corporates, also we kill them by saying, you see, your age is my experience. How can you come up with new ideas? And, just reflect on how many youngsters in our workspace have a lot of path-breaking ideas.
Absolutely.
And if only we were to apply coaching in our normal work life, these people have wonderful ideas. That's why this startup culture and the ecosystem is flourishing in India. So, well, we also call it Jugaad, but then in that Jugaad, there is a pioneering idea within that. Otherwise, a tumble washing machine would have never ended up in a lassi showroom in Jalandhar.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. We Indians are famous for Jugaad, Johnny. So, yeah. However we try to suppress these thoughts, it will come out one way or the other. And with that, folks, go ahead, Johnny.
And that, if we use that coaching mindset, we can actually harness this Jugaad into something that we are poised as a country into the next level.
True. Very true.
Thank you.
Very true. And so with that, we're coming to a close of the session. Thank you, folks, for being with us for the last hour and a half. It's about 6 in the evening. And for those of you who are interested in getting your CCUs, the closing password is close09. That is C capital LOSE numer 09. And please fill up the form, for which the link has just been posted in the chat box by our own TMC. Thank you so much for being here. Until our next session on the 22nd of July, which is our ATC. That's all from Namma Chennai, folks. Enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.